Welcome to lesson 4 of learning HTML. In this class, we're going to create the background for our navigation, and then we're going to add our navigation links onto the background. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pull in that background image. So I'm going to create my CSS rule for it. I'm going to call it nav background. And I can see here my height is 51, so I want to remember that when setting that for my background image. So height 51 pixels. And then just like with our background, we're going to have one repeat X to repeat across. And then we're going to put a margin top onto it to push it down a little bit from the top. And then text line center, this is for later on when we put our navigation items within it. So let's go ahead and grab this, go back to our HTML, let's start a comment for, and call it navigation, end it. And within here, let's add our ID of nav background, go ahead and enter a couple times and save it. Go back to our code and refresh. And the problem is I didn't go into the right folder. Sorry about that. There we go. So here is our nav background. As you see, the reason why it ends here and it ends here is because surrounding it is my wrapper, and my wrapper has a max width of 1,000 pixels. If you decide that you want to go full width, you can then use what's called percentages. So you can set your width to like 100%, and it should go to the full width of the screen. If it does not, there might be some margin or padding issues that you would see by adjusting. But in this case, I'm not interested in going the full width. I want to keep within my 1,000 pixels and design the rest of the page under this wrapper. So it looks kind of bad now, but once we add our contents down here in one of the next lessons, it won't look as bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what's called an unordered list. An unordered list is very common when creating some kind of navigation, but it can also be used for list items. An ordered list will have a dot, which I'll show you pretty soon. There's also what's called an unordered list. Ordered list does have numbers compared to an ordered list, which does not. But honestly, I don't use ordered lists as much as unordered lists. It's just more like, what am I trying to accomplish, and then that will determine what code I'm going to use. To me, the really only good use for ordered lists is if you're going to have some kind of number, like if you're going to have like a recipe in step 1, you want to do this. That's probably the best use of an ordered list. So what I'm doing here now is I'll make sure I have enough list items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, awesome. So home about services contact and sign up. So because I put my text line sent there before I showed this is the reason why text is over here, and then unordered items, the bullet points over here. But I still want to show this before I customize this some more. So again, this is when there's no styles applied to it. An unordered list will have the bullet points on the side, and depending on what browser you're using, these may look slightly different. Right here, it's kind of it's a circle slash diamond shape. Other ones will have a pure circle. It just really depends on what your browser has set as its default bullet points for unordered lists. So now we want to go back to our code and we want to remove those on our list. And to do that, we are going to trigger with the li. So I'm going to put my nav background, align, and list style none. This will remove it, and then display inline. This will have our items now be aligned. So now, as you can see, our list items, the bullet points have disappeared, and our list items are now horizontal, horizontal instead of vertical. So now we want to see about moving those closer to the actual center of the background. And to do that, we're actually going to trigger our UL and display our use display again, except this time we're going to do inline-block. Refresh. Okay, this is a very useful tool. I will say though, with IE7, display inline block is not recognized. There are hacks for it to make it work for IE7. So it's something that you find very useful, like I do. You can do research real quick on it of how to fix the IE7 problem with display inline block, and it will come up with a lot of different resources on how to do that. At this time, we're not going to go too much into it since this is functional on all modern browsers, which I'm currently only want to concentrate on instead of older IE7 and back browsers. So what we want to do now is we want to add some padding in between our list items, and let's change them to the color of white. So let's do padding, and I'm going to do the shorthand here. So 0, this means going to be no padding on top and bottom, and let's put 10 pixels between the left and right. Let's change the color to white here, and then save. And then also I'm going to add border right 1 pixel solid black. So we haven't used borders before, but as you can probably assume, this is what goes around the item. There's either border itself, and then that'll do all 4 corners, or you could define border top, border right, border bottom, border left. And then again, this is kind of shorthand. These can be actually separated to different rules, but to me it's a lot easier. So basically what this means, border right, it's going to be a width 1 pixel solid. It means solid line. There's dash, there's groove, there's other styles you can apply to it, and then you specify the color. So in this case I'm specifying black. Let's go ahead and save, go back, refresh, and as you can see, our list, our borders have come into on the side. Let's increase the size of our text to be about, let's say, 16 pixels. So font size 16 pixels. Let's see why that didn't work. Oh, okay, so it was working, it just wasn't coming up. So let's say 20. 20 looks pretty good. All right, let's go back and change that. So there's different ways of removing this last border here. The way I'm going to do it is going to be setting a border 0. In that case, I'm just going to create a class for it, because since it's such, it can be used in multiple times. I figured might as well just create a class that I can use again if I need to. And so I'll do border 0, and this will basically say there will be no border at all around it. I'm going to copy and save, and sign up class. So we haven't done classes yet, but I originally talked about them in the first lesson. So classes are the ones where you can have as many non-borders attached to different items as you want. It's not like nav background where it's a 90. It's not going to be able to use it more than once. I can use no border as many times as I want. But part of the problem is it's actually slow. It's a slower selector. But when you want to use multiple, you want to use the role multiple times, you want to make it a class. So we get refresh, and it would. Okay, this is something that I should have introduced before. So the way that CSS also works, it works by whatever role is last declared or whichever one's more important, it's going to take that one. So what I mean by this one, okay, so this is the more important role, and it has the border right defined to it. So what I did down here is on the border I put 0, and then I define what's called important. Basically what this means is this will override any other role that's applied to the same item. So because I put importance, it will override our ID, since that takes it takes a higher level than our class does. So to do that, you do exclamation mark and important, and go ahead and refresh again. But something I want to advise is you don't want to use importance unless it's absolutely necessary, because part of the problem is then it's hard to overwrite. So in this case, because of I have the ID attached to it, I have to override it with importance. But if it's unnecessary, then don't do it. Like I said, only use it unless it's absolutely necessary. And at this point, I think I'm going to stop. This video is a little bit shorter than other ones, but I think we got in pretty good. I'm going to allow you to go ahead and link it. By the next time I have this video come up, I will have the default links just to give you the homework assignments. And then next time we will have it where we'll have these actually capitalized. I'll show you how to do that through CSS. And then we'll move on to our main content area. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave any comments to subscribe. And I look forward to next time. Have a good night. Bye.